Welcome back. This video will take you through the beginning of the plant until the fortune fight, also known as the segment, the bomb disposal. The beginning of the plant starts off really slow and is very front-loaded by cutscenes and codecs that you'll have to mash through and skip accordingly. There's not a lot to say. Not a lot to say until we start getting into the actual struts. But one of the main things you'll need to know for movement in this game is that rolling as riding, or cartwheeling, is faster generally than running. So if there's any huge straight lines, you should be cartwheeling. These menus that I'm going through right now are fairly simple. The first one, where you have to input your name, just go ahead and press the start button to get out of that keyboard. Then go down to the exit button. And then for the second menu, just hit circle and you'll get right out. So these guys, before they wake up, you'll have a codec call. And before that, you need to be right down here in this position right here. So by pressing the select button, you can actually take the required codec calls a little earlier, and I'll be trying to do that throughout the entire run.
Secure the perimeter.
This saves a matter of frames, so don't worry too much if you screw up like I just did. So, as soon as that guy on the right turns around, you'll want to run up and leg sweep him, and then do the same to the guy on the left. That way you can move up to this point here, skip that cutscene, so you're not sitting there waiting for the so you're not sitting there for a second longer than you have to, and get on the elevator. Pretty simple stuff. Once you're on the top of the roof of the Strut A, go ahead and cartwheel into a crawl, get into that fenced-in area, and you can actually roll into this codec trigger, which will put you right next to the door. I missed it on this attempt, but it's not a huge deal if you miss it. It only saves a matter of frames. There's a few codec calls you can do that with if you know where they are. So as soon as you step out of the A strut, you'll be accosted by a cutscene and a codec. Just skip them both. So make sure you're cartwheeling over these metal grate surfaces, otherwise that guy will turn around and spot you earlier than you need him to.
It's the enemy. I need.
But once you get up to him, just roll into him and everything will be fine. So after you meet Pliskin, go ahead and go straight up, roll into this codec trigger, press circle to exit out of the save prompt, and continue to skip through with the triangle button. BC Bridge is very straightforward on the first pass. All you have to do is cartwheel forward. Later on, there will be a cipher that we'll have to shoot, but that's later on. Strut C, same thing. No guards, just cartwheel straight on through. And here's where loading up your New Game Plus save will be coming in handy. This block of cutscenes includes 2 unskippable explanations of the bombs, the coolant freeze spray, and the sensor. That one in particular right there, and that one there. And New Game Plus is more important on European Extreme, since the bombs on European Extreme move on New Game Plus. So here we're taking advantage of our previous equip option. We're going to want to have the SOCOM and the coolant equipped. The SOCOM specifically for that cipher. Just take a few shots until it's down. Do not empty your clip here. It's very important that you still have some shots left for later on. And on the second pass to BC Bridge, you'll want to grab that pack of chaff grenades as well. For disposing the bombs, you'll want to aim at the corner of the bomb. This is so that the coolant spray actually hits multiple surfaces, and it speeds up the amount of time it'll take to go ahead and get defrozen. Now here you're actually supposed to roll into the guard. I screwed up, but don't screw up.
Who is that? Oh.
A very handy trick for AB Bridge is knocking that guy down. It's very tricky timing. You have to be just barely past him and roll at the last second. So you're going to want to have the chaff equipped going into Strut A, the chaff and the coolant spray. And that is so that we can distract this guard over here and have a clean shot right into here. Once again, cartwheeling into a crawl. And here we're using coolant rising, which is equipping the coolant from a crawl, then hitting the crouch button and the equip button at the same time to instantly rise, so you can move again real quick. And the spacing on getting that bomb from behind the pillar there is a little bit tricky. I find that placing your knee on the white line is what got it for me. Alternatively, you can just coolant rise right on the spot and do it that way. So use the second shaft on the the AF bridge. Get past that cipher. Here we're going to take advantage of the coolant's secondary property, and that is to cause the guards to swat at their face for a sec. That way we can grab the M9 and move on.
Stay alert.
So I screwed up the menus here, but it's really simple. Every time you go from the M9 to the coolant, it'll be two inputs up on the menu, no matter what items you have in your inventory. On EF bridge, this is a very tricky bridge. It is mined with claymores that you'll have to avoid. And due to some physics weirdness with the game, if you clip a corner, Raiden will bounce straight off of it, and if you do that, you'll end up running straight into the first bomb on the bridge. So you have to be very, very careful. If you need, just use this video as your guide through the maze. Later on, we'll have a box which will allow us to take those corners much tighter, and it becomes a little bit less of an issue. The bomb on Strut E is up on the helipad, and it is planted right underneath the landing gear on the Harrier. So what you want to do is you want to move very quickly, roll as much as possible, crouch underneath the wing, and aim very carefully, so that you can come straight back the same way without getting spotted. It's more important that you move very, very swiftly on European Extreme than here, but still, the same applies. And going back in, hold the select button so you can take this call immediately, so that your cycles on the guards aren't desynced from what you would expect. Climb up on the platform, grab the box, and equip it immediately upon your descent from the platform, so that you can just slide right on past there, leading us to DE Bridge. And for this bridge, we're going to take the lower path. There is a strat for the upper path, but for these videos, I'm taking more or less the most basic strats, so that new players can start getting into things. If you need the node, here's your best opportunity to grab it for the Harrier fight. Otherwise, go ahead and skip it like I do here. And cartwheeling in this strut is not as important as other places, since you're stuck to this guy's cycle. If you start spraying immediately, you'll catch him with the spray and cause him to get stuck in animation loops. So it's best just to wait a sec till he walks away. That way you can just kind of clear up the bomb without any issues. So I take out that guy up top, then move as swiftly as you can. Sometimes, if you're not fast enough, the guard on the bottom level will be all the way to the stairs, and in that case, you just kind of have to be careful. For CD Bridge, Go straight across. As soon as you hear him get alerted, equip the box, and he won't shoot at you, saving a little bit of damage and some time. And if you don't roll into the wall like I did, you can actually just avoid that alert altogether. But it doesn't matter since it really clears up as soon as you enter the strut. So that was the last bomb for bomb disposal besides the big one at the bottom of Strut A. So now we're going to have our timer pop up on the menu, sorry, on the screen. The timer's super lenient even on casual playthroughs, so don't worry about it too much. Here you're going to have your M9 and your USP equipped. And you can use the same double tap trick as the deck A on the tanker here, or you can go in a first person mode and be very safe about it.
Who is that? It's the enemy. I need help.
If you end up missing the roll on that guy right there, you can, like I did, really quickly turn around and take a shot at him, taking out either his radio or himself. Either way is fine. But again, the most preferable option is to actually not miss. So as soon as you get on the elevator, you can start holding select to take that call as soon as possible. And once you get down to the docks, here's another change between normal and European Extreme. On normal, the big bomb will be underneath the submersible in the middle of the room, and there's two ways to get around to it. You can either go around the entire platform, or you can do as I do and flip the railing and just kind of go into this caged area. If you do this variant, you have to be very careful not to dive into the water before you freeze the bomb, otherwise it'll waste quite a bit of time. It's not so much of a big deal if you've gotten the bomb frozen and you dive. So for the fortune fight, this is why I emptied the SOCOM out on BC Bridge the second time around, or third time rather. There is a strategy which I am using now that is exploiting iframes. Every time Raiden pops out of cover to shoot, he has a significant amount of iframes that you can use to avoid getting shot by Fortune here. For Fortune, it requires that you don't have any ammo, otherwise your first shot you take will go and cause a cutscene to play out. That particular strat is performed by just hitting the square button on the corner of the cover, waiting until he starts to turn back into the cover, and then spamming the button again, and repeating until necessary. Another alternative is this right here, running back and forth in the box, because she will never be able to hit you. If you are using the iframe variant, it's very important that you're in cover when that cutscene with the elevator plays. Otherwise, you'll pop out of cover and Raiden will still be in your control, and you'll end up running wherever you've input him to on accident. So you've got to be careful to kind of time it out better. Time it out than to not do that. Once she starts shooting at random like this, the fight's over. You just got to wait for the call. And next video we'll be going through the Fat Man fight through the Harrier.